Welcome to the Good Word. My name is Vincent Goodwill, senior NBA writer for Yahoo Sports. We are part of the Ball Don't Lie Network. Get us wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, we are also on YouTube. Today is December 4th, just a random day on the calendar. But Michael Smith, let's see, he's the host and executive producer of Brother from Another. He has his own podcast network. And most importantly, I don't know if y'all realize this, Michael Smith also is on the Amazon NFL pregame where he drops news. And then he does Sunday Night Football where he does the super cool sit-down interviews with the movers and shakers in the NFL. I'm just happy that you made time to come on this little podcast. I really appreciate you, bro. How you doing, man?
I'm good. First of all, they probably don't realize it because if you blink, you'll miss me on Amazon and NBC. but honestly, I'm honored because let's not bury the lead. You're a writer just like I am. Let's not bury the lead, brother. December 4th is not just some random day. It is your born day. It marks another trip around the sun for my main man, Vincent Goodwill. So I'm honored to be on the Good Word podcast on your birthday. I'm honored to and blessed to count you as a dear friend. So happy birthday, brother. Many happy returns.
Man, you about to make a G, you about to make a G frown up over here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not the emotional type, but no, I really do appreciate it. And I'm glad that I can actually do this podcast on this day, because part of this, Mike, is I'm old. You know what I'm saying?
So how old exactly?
Let's just say.
No. Let's just say, how old are you?
I turned 39 a few hours ago. My exact birth 39. Time was 6:56 a.m. I'm a morning baby.
Right? I don't even know that, by the way.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
My birth time, no. But you're 39. Well,
I'm 39. Like funny sort of thing. I'm born on Jay-Z's birthday. Mm-hmm. My younger brother is born on Biggie's birthday, May 21st. Mm-hmm. So just a weird sort of quirks, and we're born.
Did your mama's water burst at 2:19? Or no?
No, on his birthday it might have. No, she just my mom is just the coolest person, because she sent me a text that almost made it a G like tear, because she's not the long text person or whatever. So appreciate you for that. But my mom literally, when she decided like my brother was coming out, she just said, "Oh no, I'm going to the hospital." It wasn't like I'm hurting, my water broke. She literally woke herself up in the middle of the night and said, "Moving day. That's what this is. It's moving day. Time for this one to go."
She rolled herself to the hospital? Okay, this is too much Biggie. Like, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. This is literally rapping respect right now.
She literally like woke me and my sister up and was like, "Oh, I'm about to go to the hospital and have the baby. Y'all stay here." We're like, "Wait, what? Like, are you hurt?" No, she's like just moving around like a regular old person. You know what I mean? Like I had never been around a pregnant person before. You know what I mean? Like that. Like I'm 12 years old or 11 going on 12. And my mom just decided, she woke my dad up. She was like, "Hey, we going to the hospital." And he's like frantic and all that. She was like, "No need to be frantic. Just we going to the hospital today. We are having this child." And then if that was like at 2 a.m, I would venture to say, I think my brother was born at 6:59. So about 4 hours later, it was done. It wasn't I was a super long labor. My brother was not. Mm-hmm. So,
So it sounds like you get your cool, calm, collected disposition from your mother. You also an old soul because, like you my little brother, but I look to you for a lot of wisdom. Oftentimes I find myself, calling you up when I need to vent or when I need to know if I'm tripping. I call Vincent Goodwill because as my mom and them used to say back in the day, you've been here before. Remember they used to say that when you were like a little precocious child, like, he or she they've been here before. So Vinnie is definitely an old soul. If y'all know Vinnie, y'all know about his musical taste. Y'all know about his perspectives on worldly issues. Very learned individual. So yeah, man, like happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
What do you have planned other than talking to me for the the Good Word with Goodwill podcast. What do you have planned for today?
I have nothing today. Because here's the crazy thing. If you have a December birthday and it's before Christmas, it kind of all blends in together. You know what I mean? So I was never like, I had a surprise birthday party thrown for me like 4 years ago when I turned 35. And I was still living in New York at the time and came home and had a surprise birthday. But usually that was probably the biggest thing, you know, for me. Like birthdays were never like huge for me. Honestly, at this stage.
Don't tell me birthdays was the worst days.
No, birthdays are not the worst days. Definitely not the worst days.
I just wonder if we will go all the way with this Biggie thing. You know what I mean?
Now we sip champagne when we thirsty. No. But now birthdays for me have become like Christmas shopping days. When people call me, like when I have 3 god kids, my god kids call me to wish me happy birthday, it turns into, okay, what do y'all want for Christmas? You know what I mean? And then I will try to go out and do stuff. So when people call you and they're reasonably important, it's Vinnie telling them, okay, y'all, December 15th comes. The Bank of Vinnie is going to be closed because I will not be doing this last minute shopping stuff. So y'all let me know what y'all want for Christmas. That's what my birthday turns into. So
you make it about other people?
Yes.
I'm not shocked. You're an unselfish ball player.
Yeah. I'm not Shadow Henderson. I'm not Shadow Henderson. I'm not with the 30-minute solo.
Can we take the solo down just a little bit? Just a tad? To under an hour?
Under maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So no, that's what birthdays, you know, have become like. And seriously, when I woke up, like my back was hurting. And I was like, wait a minute, y'all. This is supposed to happen when you turn 30, which it did. Like the second you turn 30, your body changes. And my body definitely changed when I turned 30. And now that I'm on the back end, I'm trying to figure out where the hell my 30s went, right? Because when I came to Yahoo, I was 33 going on 34, I believe, if the numbers add up right. Yeah, I was 33 going on, and I felt young. It doesn't feel like I've been at Yahoo this long, but this is like the longest job, this is the longest job I've had, longest career that I've had. This will be year 6, I believe, or going on year 6 or whatever. And I haven't spent in one role that long of a period of time. But man, I feel old, bro. Like, and I'm thinking of Stephen Curry and James Harden and LeBron and, you know, CP and all these other guys. Like, we think that they're supposed to play a certain way forever. And you get old quick. Like, you go from being, and you see this in the NFL because everybody knows but this is Mike's season right now, right? This is Mike's busy season. But you see it in all sports, especially in basketball and football, where you go from being the experienced team that has all the veteran know-how and all of that to the next year, next year, you are old. And it happens so quick,
fast.
Man.
Life does come at you fast. I mean, going back to you though, like, first of all, on a physical tip, talk to me when you hit 44. You know, 39 is one thing. I don't even remember 39, Vinny. That's how old I am. That's how old I feel at 44. But I mean, I relate to what you're saying. You said a lot there. I want to unpack a lot of things if I can make myself comfortable.
Go ahead.
Podcast. One, about you not making a big deal about your birthday. I think the older we get, we should. And you know, I'd love to do better. You know, I'm not big into New Year's resolutions. If I'm going to make a change or just make it regardless of what the calendar says. But I want to be better when it comes to acknowledging and celebrating loved ones' birthdays. Because it's like, so I was in Dallas the other day with some friends of mine, some high school friends of mine that I've been tight with since high school, obviously. So that's 30 years, you know, I've been knowing them. And we were just talking about some people that we went to school with, and it became like this running joke, but it was serious. Like, we would talk about either an administrator or a teacher or a fellow student. I would have to ask, is he or she still with us? Because we at that age now, man. Like, you know, not only is every day above ground a gift from God and a blessing, but it's like, yo, we've always been taught we ain't promised tomorrow, but that becomes realer and realer when you hit 39 and 40. Like, we got people that, you know, that don't make it to see this long. You know what I mean? I'm 44. before you know it, God willing, I'm 50. And yes, to your point, I'm feeling it. I'll get back to that in a second. But I've also had that habit of not making a big deal on my birthday. My birthday is August 1st. And part of the reason now I don't make a big deal on my birthday is my youngest daughter, Maya, her birthday is July 31st. So her birthday has become this 3-day event. Like we start like really hyping up on the 30th. And then obviously her actual birthday is the 31st. And then it bleeds over into August 1st. But I've just never been one to make a big deal on my birthday. I don't know if I've ever posted on IG. Because then if you post on IG and you acknowledge your birthday, then you got to respond to all the comments you get. You can't just get comments and not. So that's a whole investment. That takes the whole day, right? Maybe I don't remember. I don't think I've done that. Maybe I have. I don't remember. But I've never drawn attention to myself. Back in high school, I wasn't one of those people that walked around with the money pinned on me and whatnot. Remember them days? Yeah. I didn't do that. But now that I get older, I really do want to just be more thankful, more grateful for every day, but birthdays in particular, and treat myself, celebrate myself. And I'll say this for you, because it's easier for me to say it to you than it is to me. Man, at 39, what you've accomplished in this business, at 39, the respect that you've earned, the relationships that you've made, the name you've made for yourself and for your family. At 39, it's like you've done more than most people do in their entire lifetime. You've seen more than most people see in their entire lifetime. And so that's definitely something to be celebrated. And I'll tell you, man, you're just getting started, because I jokingly said a second ago, see, now you got me preaching. I jokingly said a second ago, my grandfather was a preacher. My uncle was a preacher. I come from a lineage of preachers.
Yes. That's why you got the hairline.
Is that why?
Yeah, that's why you got the hairline.
All preachers don't have good hairlines.
They don't, but really it's either really good or really not good. Or you got the Cosby. Or you got that Cosby where you're not sure where the actual line is.
So it's extremes.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Extremes.
No, I jokingly said that I don't remember 39. I do remember 39 vividly, because let's say that'd be 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So that would be 2018.
Ooh.
And where I was in 2018 professionally, and where I was about to go in the ensuing years, was one of the most challenging stretches of my life and my career, And now I'm on the other side of that. And I could tell you, like, not only are you right where you're supposed to be personally and professionally, Vin, but like, talk to me in 5 years. And like, so much is going to happen to you and for you and through you in the next 5 years, man, where it's just like, because I don't know about you, and this is where I'll stop talking and I'll pass it back to you. We talk about like life coming at you fast. It was just yesterday when you were like, the wonderkind. You were like, the young buck. Who this young brother, covering the NBA? Like, you were the head of the game. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you're an OG. Like, I'm an OG in the game now. I got people coming up to me talking about I grew up watching you, or thank you for what you did. Like, I'm 44 years old, and I feel old because you got these kids coming into our business, taking over.
Yep.
God bless them. You love to see it, but it's like, it was just yesterday where I was the new kid on the block, where I was the up and coming guy, where I had my whole future ahead of me. Now, sometimes it may feel like, where did the time go? But like I said, you still got a lot more to accomplish.
No, I appreciate that.
The doors of the church are open.
The doors. One thing I've told people about me through the years. One thing I've learned about myself is I'm really terrible with receiving compliments. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to deal with being in that space.
But you're a giver. You're a giver, so it's hard for you to receive.
Very much so. Very much so. Which that's a whole nother conversation, right? You know what I mean? But yeah, it is. You know what I mean? It is a blessing, I guess I should say, to be in this business and to have optimism, to be excited about getting up and doing a podcast twice a week and getting up and covering the league. Like, so many people that you see are jaded and they don't like what they do. You know what I mean? The business has taken so much out of them. You know what I mean? Like, the business, it takes whatever it is, even if you love what you do, the business takes it out of you. And you said something like I've heard a saying where you change every 5 years. Like, you're a completely different person,
Hmm.
every 5 years of your life. And I think about that in terms of like marriages, how people, morph and grow together, grow apart, how that stuff goes. And even just generally, you know what I mean? How, like, as a writer, I'm different than I was, you know what I mean?
Your voice has evolved.
Absolutely. Dude, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's just a weird, I wouldn't say a weird space. Like, you'll go back and look at certain things that you've written and you're like, man, I would write that differently, or I would have a different perspective. Not that what I said or felt was wrong in that day, but you experience more. And because I'm not married and I don't have kids, it's different for me to recognize my own evolution. You know what I mean? It's different for me to be able to, pick out, there's the lighthouse. You know what I mean? There's the beacon sort of thing. Like, you have to be your own in some ways when you have a compass, like being a father or being a husband. Like, you have some responsibilities that are greater than yourself. So you have to, those things allow you to stabilize yourself. When you don't have that, you have to literally, there's a saying, be where your feet are. You know what I mean, Mike? You have to always sort of be where your feet are. And that's where, professionally, personally, that's where you wind up looking at things. You're like, okay, you don't judge yourself. That's one thing I've always been good at, is not looking where anyone else is and trying to,
good for you.
Compare. It's a lose-lose proposition, man.
Yeah.
It's a lose-lose proposition. Like, you observe and the terrain and everything else.
Yeah.
But like, I do believe that, if you change one thing about your road, then everything could change. You know what I mean? Like, I firmly believe that I'm not here if there aren't a series of events that happen in succession, the day, the time, the hour, whenever it happened. I firmly believe that I'm not here, that we're not talking in this forum today if those things didn't happen. So if you change one thing, you change everything. You know what I mean? So if that way you feel, blessed, fortunate, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And still feeling old as all hell. Okay. You know what I mean?
I will say, like, that was powerful because it's like, it's a hard balance to be competitive, which we are.
Yes.
It's a hard balance to be competitive in a very competitive industry, but still just run your race. Those two things feel like they're, they're in conflict. You can be competitive, but still run your race and still know that what's for you is for you. I've gotten better at that the older I've gotten. It's two things I've gotten better at. One, just working to be the best version of myself for myself, but as you mentioned, for my wife, for my 3 kids. But also, man, I don't take stuff personally the same way I used to. I used to take stuff, and I think it all goes hand in hand. I think your growth as a writer and a reporter comes from, okay, you've seen more, you've talked to more people, you've learned more, you're older, you're wiser, so you say things differently. You have more to say because, like I said, you just experience more. I think also for me, in terms of not taking things personally, it's like I've lived more, and I have the benefit of hindsight. So it's like when you're running your own race, you want to bear with me here. You want to eliminate your peripheral vision, but hindsight is in fact beneficial. So a lot of people say like, a windshield is much larger than your rearview mirror for a reason, but I do think you need hindsight to help you on a journey forward, because like I wouldn't be where I am right now or able to navigate where I am and where I'm going if not for what I've been through.
Yeah.
And for what I've learned from those experiences. And so I just find myself, I used to take things personally. I used to internalize a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong, I still got an ego. I think you have to have an ego to do what we do to some extent.
You have to.
And I'll still call bullshit on something, in this business, or, when it comes to how I'm treated, and what I demand and what I expect in terms of how I'm treated. Because life's also too short to eat quite honestly. You know what I'm saying? It's like the older I get, A, I don't take things personally, but B, I ain't got time to waste. And my time is way more valuable than anything else. So again, that goes hand in hand. Another reason I don't take things personally as much is because I understand that we have a finite amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're flattering yourself or fooling yourself if you think that people are thinking about you in such a way where it's like, oh, they did this to hurt me or they did this to offend me. It's like, man, ain't nobody think about you like that. Like people got too much stuff going on. People got too much stuff on their own plate to be thinking about you like that. So it's like, I don't have time to waste, but I also respect that other people have stuff going on in their lives, or reasons for doing what they're doing that are way bigger than me, So when I talked about 39, yeah, I definitely don't think I saw the world that way. 5 years later, I just have a different approach,
It's different because it's funny. Like I promise we're gonna get to some NBA stuff because we're just gonna have some fun today because we're gonna have fun.
It's grown man talk right here, dog.
Yeah. This trust me. Trust me. I promise we're gonna get to it. But because it's funny where you just took us. Like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in general, like, and it helps you in your career, it helps me in my life and all this other stuff, is everything that's about you ain't about you. Mm-hmm. Everything that affects you isn't about you. Sometimes you are a tool or a vessel for something.
I say that to myself
greater
as much as I can. Not about you. It's not about you.
Yeah. You have to. It keeps you grounded, and it's hard to say that and then say, okay, have an ego about it. Or ego about yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's a healthy sort of balance of recognizing being blessed and grateful for where you are, while also making sure that, things are being done right by you by being in this space. It's not, you don't have to play the humble, grateful person, and just accept or deal with anything. Like there are certain standards that anybody's going to have that people will meet. And 9 times out of 10, people will meet you where you are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then sometimes if they don't, it's okay, to call that out, not for sake of ego, but just for sake of self. And it's I'm not going to lie, it's a hard balance betwixt the two. You know what I mean? It's a hard balance to walk betwixt the two.
That's that 39-year-old word.
Is that what that is? Speaking
of the way you are, how you talking about you feeling old? Every time I talk to you, you're in the gym. Every time I call you, I'm gonna hit you back when I leave the gym. Like, you're in good shape. You look
trying to be
fit and trim.
Trying to be.
Unlike some of us.
No, you know what it is, Michael? It is genetics kicking in. It's one side of the family being a certain way. It's the other side of the family being a certain way, and those genetics are meshing, and you're trying to fight off time. Like I've always said, I want to look good with my clothes on. I want to look good with my clothes off. I want to look great in the suit. And that's, and I've always looked young, like me and my friends. And this is the last thing I'll say because I want to ask Mike about some random NBA stuff.
All right.
But my friends would always joke because I was the youngest person in our friend group. A, because I was kind of a year younger than everybody, and then B, my birthday happened so late that it felt like I was 2 years younger than everybody, that it took me the longest time to turn 18. It took me the longest time to turn 21. So either there was some stuff I couldn't do, wouldn't do, or wasn't gonna do because my birthday or whatever. So now it's I'm the one that hasn't turned 40 yet, or the one that's not turning 40.
I know you want to get to NBA, but you got to do something big for 40 though. And I said it as somebody who did not do something big for his 40th. But you should do something big for your 40th. I wish I had. Looking back, I wish I had. I let it come and go.
I don't know. I haven't, you know what I mean? I haven't thought much about
just processing 39.
Yeah, I'm literally 39 in 3 hours. 39 and 3 hours. Right. So it's hard for me to be able to see that.
Well, listen,
see that far ahead.
If you think it's hurting right now, man, I'm telling you, like I didn't felt the back pains. I got to stretch differently. I got to take 4 Tylenol every now and then. I got to take some Advil. I don't. When I get on the court, if I get on the court, I am very judicious when it comes to what I'm demonstrating to the players I coach. I do not. I'm not trying to blow out my kid. Okay, just like you said, I want to look good with my. Here's your standard. I want to look good with my clothes on. I want to look good with my clothes off, and I want to look great in a suit. That's awesome. Here's Michael Smith. I ain't trying to blow out my Achilles. That's me. That's all. I ain't trying to blow out my Achilles. That's just so, just taking it easy.
Not blowing out. Like, that's the reason I haven't gone back to play basketball regularly, because I used to be like, especially back when I was young, man, I play basketball all day, every day. You get that last game in when you playing pickup all day and everybody's tired and somebody says one more and you're like, okay, I'm going to play one end of the floor. I'm going to either give you a very strong defensive effort or a strong, I'm going to play the corners. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to play boxes and elbows. I'm going to play the corners, hit a couple threes and pray that, if this, what's the baseline score? Like if it's 9-3, let's just say that. If it's 9-3 in the last game and you're down 9-3, and me and my best friend was talking about this the other day. He's like, okay, you look at somebody and you're like, okay, we're going to go hard for like the next 2 minutes. We're going to see if we hit a couple jump shots, see if we get back in this game. If the game is 12 and it's 9-3, we're going to make one more push. And if it goes to 9-7, you hit a couple twos, you go to 9-7. All right, cool. You pick up something in that reservoir, right? If it stays at 9-4, 9-5, or it goes to 10-5, you call it a day. Live to fight another day. That's where I'm at.
We got to make business decisions, man. Listen, in life, whether it's athletics, whether it's work, or whether it's, shall we say, other areas, Vin, I'm like Bernie Mac, rest in peace. 3 minutes. That's all you getting. That's all I got. that's me right about now.
If you know, you know. That's what I'm gonna say. But it's funny because Michael, even though you've been full in NFL land, I feel like you have touched on so many NBA things without actually knowing that you've touched on them. Because you talked about sort of appreciating where you are and nothing being sort of guaranteed. And I think of a guy like Ben Simmons. And for those who don't know, he got an epidural last week to aid in his back recovery. And it was a few years ago, like before we even get to the passing up the layup, passing up the dunk and everything else, he was thought to be the next guy, like the next sort of LeBron Magic archetype. You know what I mean? And those things aren't guaranteed. Like James Wiseman, number 2 pick in the draft, only played 3 games in college, didn't play a whole lot. And I feel like Michael,
I would add Lonzo Ball to that list, by the way.
That excellent point. Like we think, and you said it best. You said a finite period of time. I think more than ever we are seeing that if you miss time, if you miss that rhythm, if you miss playing in the NBA or playing whatever sport, you don't catch that back. Like I remember Maurice Claret, right? Like when he missed that time, when he was a wonder kid, you know what I mean, coming out of Ohio State and challenged the system and everything else, he was never able to recapture that magic. And I feel like whether it's Ben Simmons or James Wiseman or, like you said, Lonzo Ball, man, if you miss that time, you never get it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about windows, and I would expand that to not just these individual stories, but also, I mean, because NBA history is littered with, cautionary tales, if you will, or tragic stories of what could have been. One of these things that happens on social media, I see it all the time. It's like, who's a guy that, you could pick one player and who would go through his career injury free, who would it be? And Derrick Rose is almost always the one that people pick. Brandon Roy comes to mind.
That's not mine. Neither one of those two are mine.
What's yours? Just NBA. What's yours?
It would probably be, most people would say, considering I got Grant Hill shoes behind me and I'm from Detroit and all that. Yeah. But it's not Grant Hill because I felt like we saw the best of what he was going to be. It was just a matter of how long was that prime going to be where he stayed at that level. I think Anthony Penny Hardaway is the biggest what if because we got to see a glimpse of it. We got to see Magic Johnson with more athleticism. You know what I mean? We got with Magic Johnson.
Or shoot, Magic wasn't done when he announced he had HIV.
No, he was going to be accumulating. Yeah, Magic was going to be accumulating at that point. You know what I mean? But Penny to me is the one that I'm like, man, by year 4, we'd already seen the best of them, and we didn't realize that we were never going to see anything like that. Here's the thing, Mike, you never know when you have accomplished or you have reached your peak. You don't know. Michael Jordan didn't know that in 1991. As crazy as it is, like, he would never be a better basketball player. Now, granted, he was still going to be the greatest basketball player of all time.
Win. Right.
But that is the best that my skills with my athleticism, like all these things sort of coming together. Like, you don't know. The intellect, it all meets. You know, like LeBron in 2013 or Steph in like 2016, all those things. You don't know when you're there that you're there. That's why you just have to maximize sort of the moment. So for me, Penny was that guy that was like, man, we didn't realize that him playing with Shaq was the best it was going to get, and that Shaq leaving was going to signal this decline with the injuries and everything else, and we never got to see him at his best.
Yeah, no, man, we're not promised. We talked about birthdays and not being promised tomorrow. These NBA, the theme here, and I like how you wove that together, because like NBA players are not promised a Chris Paul career. But as I bring up Chris Paul, I think about windows, and we talk about individual players, but by extension, the NBA team. So let's take, for example, Joel Embiid. Like, we didn't know how long it was going to take for us to get what we expected out of Joel Embiid. I would argue that Joel Embiid has been better than we could have imagined coming out of Kansas, you know, when he was dealing with, when the process was dealing with the injuries early on in his career. But like, thank goodness Tyrese Maxey has matured, has grown up to where there is still hope in Philadelphia. But it wasn't that long ago when James Harden did his annual trade demand. It was like, well, what does this mean for Joel Embiid? You know, and thankfully Tyrese Maxey has taken this leap and is the co-star Joel Embiid both needed and deserved. But these windows for teams to win championships, you know, I mean, it's why a Damian Lillard goes from, you know, I'm 10 toes down. I'm not leaving. I'm not doing, you know, I'm doing it differently. I'm doing it my way. I'm gonna stay here, like, to like, yeah, my biological clock is ticking like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's. But even just for whether it's teams or whether it's individuals, it's just like, you don't know, like you talked about Michael Jordan, you don't know when you're going to hit your peak until you look back on it. You don't know when that window is going to close, because when it closes, it slams shut for an organization or for a player to be at the peak of his powers.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, there are points when we know, right? Or there's points when we think we know. I go back to the 2019 NBA Finals, Toronto and Golden State. And I'm watching game 5 of that series where Kevin Durant comes back off of the calf injury. And then, like, I go from being the most excited I've been, because that's my first NBA Finals that I've covered, mind you.
It was 2019?
2019 was the first NBA Finals I've covered.
I wouldn't have guessed that. I thought you had been to like a bunch of them.
Yeah, I ain't that old. That's what I'm saying. It just feels like it is, right?
Yeah.
So Toronto's up 3-1. KD comes out, and like in the first 10 minutes, he looks like Kevin Durant. He looks like the best player on the planet. And then I think somewhere like early in the second quarter, on, you know, right wing, all of a sudden tries to make a move, tries to push off. Boom, Achilles. Knew it from that moment, right? At the end of that game, Golden State makes this valiant comeback from being maybe down like 7 or 9 in the last 4 minutes, and they win the game. Draymond Green blocks Kyle Lowry in the corner. When I tell you that Golden State did not run off the floor like a team that had gotten new life, they ran off the floor like a team that had just like barely survived. And I said to myself in that moment, and it wound up playing out in game 6 even more tragically, or not tragically being the word, but just, you know, more definitively, when Klay Thompson tore his knee. And I said, it's over. Like, when it comes crashing down, it's over, and you feel it. And this dynasty is exhausted, right? You just felt like it. You felt like it is. There's no disrespect to Steph and everybody else in the organization. It just felt like that window was slamming shut.
But it wasn't. Come to find out, it wasn't. Yeah.
Come to find out, it wasn't. It took a couple years, right? It took a couple years, but they wound up getting back. And now they're almost at the same spot again when you're looking around and you're like, okay, do you whisper that it's over? Because the last time you whispered that it was over,
They
You
won
know
a
what I mean?
championship. Yeah.
Steph wiped his ass with our words.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And he could very well do it again. I think the chances are far less likely, but he could, you know what I mean? In essence, he could do it again if some things break right, if they make some personnel moves or whatever. But I'm very, very careful, bringing it back around.
Yeah.
I'm very careful to point out when player X or team X is at the absolute peak and it can't get better or they can't get back.
Well, I mean, we don't know. It's a life lesson, man. Like, we don't know how that story is going to end. We're not the authors of their story. So I'm glad you brought up Golden State, because you're right. It did look like it was over. And then Clay got hurt again. And it was like we had written that obituary, that epitaph a long time ago about the Golden State Warriors, only for them to come to reignite the dynasty and add to the trophy case. No, I feel you on that, because I mean, LeBron is the ultimate outlier for that. Like, how long we've been saying, like, oh, there's no way LeBron could keep this up. There's no way LeBron could be a championship level player, you know, right. And he's defied all logic, you know, all history, you know, any sort of
reasonable expectations.
Expectations, exactly. Like, you know, like what somebody's supposed to be able to do. What is this, year 21? So no, I'm with you, man. Like, I do not. I am very cautious about writing anybody off, not just in terms of like the window being open for a championship or somebody's career, but also just even in a season, you know, especially early on. Like, we're still in the small sample size section of the NBA season. So I don't know if we can determine quite yet what's real and what's not beyond certain things. I mean, you know, the Celtics going to be there. You know, they seem to prop this window open, you know, to contend for a championship with Porzingis and Holiday now. You know, Philly's going to be there at the end. Even Milwaukee with the defensive issues, you know, they'll be at the end. They'll be there at the end. But they got some other people I wanted to ask you about, actually. Some other teams I wanted to ask you about. You know, because again, like, I'm locked in the NFL mode, so I'm not locked in the league pass like I will be shortly. But they got 3 teams that's, you know, going back to the birthday theme, that's growing up before our eyes.
Okay.
And I just want to know how seriously we should take them. Like, you know, at a certain point, kids, you've been there, and I got kids, it's like that. Kids want to start, they don't quite want to sit at the grown folks table, but they want to be in adult conversation. Yes. Like, I remember my oldest daughter, she was about 14, 15. She didn't want to hang with the little kids anymore. She wanted to sit in the room and listen to us talk. So I want to know if Orlando, coming off that long winning streak, if Minnesota at the top of the West, and if OKC. I want to know if those 3 teams and those young players, you know, if we could welcome them into the adult conversations that the Nuggets, you know, that the Nuggets are leading. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, I would love to say there's a double entendre with Oklahoma City and grown folks table that we cannot quite get into because there's an investigation going on and we just don't know quite what to say there.
See, but, yeah, you're right. That's not what I was referring to. But yes, you're right. Touche.
Yes, I get you. Yeah. Just so people won't think, oh, you're not talking about the Josh Giddey thing.
We're acknowledging that this is going on. Yes, exactly.
The way that you talked about Ja Morant and all of that nonsense, right?
Is that what you're getting?
You look, bro. There's a colleague of ours who was catching all types of hell from stupid people. Just stupid people, right? Yes, if you're hearing this and you think this is applying to you, I guarantee you, yes, it is applying to you. We're not going to compare Ja Morant to Josh Giddey or what we don't know about Josh Giddey. But to your point, Oklahoma City is a team that I can say very confidently that last year I thought they'd be a top 6 team. This year, I just felt like they had all of the gained experience, plus Chet coming into the league, and Chet has been a million times better than I thought he would be, and I thought he'd be really, really good coming in. And because he is such a plug-and-play type of player, Michael, like, he can shoot from 3, he can finish at the rim, and he can get in the open floor. And to me, that means you don't have to run a lot of stuff for him because those are things that you get in the flow of the game. When you can shoot from 3, that means I don't have to set up plays for it. That means you can play off other guys, drive and kick or whatever. When you get in the open floor, that means young fella run. And when you can finish at the rim, that means you can get it off the glass. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only so much game planning that you have to do to force feed him the ball, which means he's going to grow organically. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if his name wasn't Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and he's averaging 36 and 6, people would say that's MVP numbers. Most people would say that. But because we don't know what to make of today's numbers, we don't know how to contextualize today's numbers, and that's something else I want to get to before we get out of here, that it's hard to historically put it in the proper place to say whether this player should be in MVP discussions. But I think Oklahoma City is the most serious of those three. I think Orlando is quietly like, and I was talking to someone about this not yesterday, on a Friday night. I was talking to a gym about this, and he says, Jamal Mosley, the coach, he said he's done an excellent job because you have so many young players who all want to eat, and no young player sort of stands above anybody else. So there's not an exact pecking order, but nobody's stepping on each other either. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you bring the old school reference. This is like, I saw a documentary a couple years ago, right before the pandemic. Showtime did an excellent documentary on Motown Records.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Berry Gordy and Smokey, and they had all this archive footage and all that. And Barry said something to the effect of, and I'm going to butcher it, but Berry Gordy said, basically, there's competition in the building, but you can't forget the love. And he was saying, basically, everybody was trying to get a hit. Everybody's trying to make a hit. That's why you see certain songs, Last Night in the Pips doing I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and then the Temptations doing I Heard It Through the Grapevine. You know, like there's certain songs that everybody's trying to get a hit off of, right? And then one person gets that hit. It's a hit for the record label. It's a hit for the artist. But you also have to be happy for what's happening in the building. You can't just be like, oh, damn, I didn't get this hit. Somebody else got it. Like, sooner or later, it affects, like, you know, lifting boats lifts all tides sort of thing.
Right.
Rising boats lifts all tides.
All boats, yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
I know it's going to butcher something. So when I when I look at Orlando and I look at, you know, the Wagner boys and, you know, Cole Anthony and the kid from Gonzaga, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name.
Suggs.
Yeah, Jalen Suggs, who we were not sure was going to be a really good NBA player.
Mm.
And now he's found his niche on that team, and they've all developed them inside the building. There hasn't been a lot of backbiting. You haven't heard anything crazy. And you look up and boom, they're there. Same with Oklahoma City. Boom, they're there.
Yeah.
And that's the way that you want to have growth in the NBA. That's the way, you know, because there's continuity. Growth. Yeah. You want to have continuity in your building,
yeah,
and you want to be able to have growth externally so that fans can latch on to a team outside the market and understand and know who you are. There's going to be people who are fans of Oklahoma City without knowing that they're the 30th market in the NBA. They won't care about that stuff. They're just going to, you know what I'm saying, they're just going to be okay with that. In Minnesota, I just have a hard time with Karl Towns being like a serious player, so to speak. But I do like what Minnesota has done because I love the Ant-Man, and Rudy Gobert has come back and taken all those things back to heart. And once again, Michael Smith, I'm tell you how good Michael Smith is. Michael Smith is so good, he doesn't even know what's on the rundown. And he has touched on two things that I want to hit on before we get out of here. Because one, Michael, scoring is up.
Yeah.
Too much,
right.
In my opinion.
I've seen people say this might be the worst defensive era in a long time, if not ever.
Ever, right? Mm-hmm. Ever. So with that said, I'm gonna give you some time to think about it while I give you what I'm thinking.
All right.
The question is, if you could change an in-game rule, what would it be? Because the NBA, and I'm giving Mike time to think about it, because the NBA with this in-season tournament, with the play-in, the NBA has also wiped its ass with my thoughts, because I did not like the in-season tournament. I thought it was hokey. I thought it was like terrible. I didn't like the play-in, and both things have been, to me, a rousing success. The play-in looks a lot easier to contextualize because it's basically right before the playoffs. It's just adding 2 extra games. The in-season thing is a lot more ambitious. and I'm going out to Las Vegas to see whatever, the knockout round games are going to be played today, Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Friday, or Thursday and Saturday, whatever it is, will be the semifinals and final. I have to give the NBA the benefit of the doubt here. So I will say, if the NBA were to come to me and say, you know what, we're going to get rid of the corner three, right? Or we're going to narrow the lane, or get rid of defensive 3 seconds, or hand check, or bring back the hand check, I would say I'm all for it. A, because I want defenses to have a chance, and B, the NBA has actually earned a level of benefit of the doubt from me competitively that I actually have to sit back and listen to them, because the last couple things that they've done have been such huge successes. So while giving you that, Michael Smith, what say you?
Mine. No, listen, I'm not going to wait, because you put me on the spot, and I was going to put you on the spot. You put me on the spot because I can't say that I have a rule, an in-game rule that comes to mind. And you know how it is. We hang up. I'll be like, "Oh, I got one. I have one."
Right.
I like your premise though of just trying to help out defense. But
Yes.
I was actually going to say to you. So listen, I'm not gonna sit here and make for bad audio or video. Trying to rack my brain, and I'm old, so I don't fire the same way I used to. That's my excuse. I was gonna say to you, fool, talking about I don't know what's in the rundown. You the birthday boy. I have written down. I was like, I'm gonna ask Vinnie, and it don't have to be an in-game rule. It does not have to be an in-game rule.
Okay.
You could have one wish that the NBA could grant. One wish. We'll, like you closing your eyes, you blowing out them 39 candles. Just anything. What do you want to wish for?
Man, NBA wish.
I put you on the spot too, huh? See?
Yeah, you did. Okay,
right,
here's my general thought on things.
All right.
Bring back the hate. That's all. Bring back the competitive hate. There is nothing wrong with teams or players not liking each other. Like, we have been in this since November 2004. We have been in this very kumbaya stage of the NBA where you can't have
players why were you
that don't
so specific? November 2004. What happened? What am I forgetting that happened on November 2004?
Something happened in Auburn Hills on a Friday night.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, picture it. Friday night. Okay, sorry. It was 2004. That's right.
Picture it. Sicily, 2004.
Yeah.
Vinny's in his third year of college, and his sister calls and says, "Hey, they're fighting at the Pistons game." Oh, I'm sure they're whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, no. She's like, no, fool. They're fighting everybody.
People running. Man.
So since then, Michael Smith, that surreal scene, right?
Yeah.
But since then, we haven't had real dislike. Like, people have disliked LeBron, or people have disliked Kevin Durant, or people have disliked certain entities, but we haven't had the blood feuds. I love the blood feuds more, because when you think about nostalgic NBA basketball from decades ago, you're not even thinking about the basketball. You think about the individual excellence and some things like that. But you think about Knicks and Bulls hating each other, Pistons and Bulls hating each other.
Hey, Winning Time on HBO gave me that fix to about hating team.
Yes,
Lakers, Celtics.
Yes. So it's funny because I really want to get this in before we wrap.
Yeah,
Michael, Ime Udoka and LeBron got into a very low-toned verbal discussion that resulted in Ime Udoka being ejected, right? Now, we don't know exactly what was said, but speaking of like old man, not old man strength, but there's an old man tone of voice, that whatever Ime Udoka said to LeBron to get him ejected, look at the fans behind Ime Udoka because they could hear what he said, even though we couldn't pick it up on the boom mics. There's something to be said, Mike, for not yelling, but saying something really potent, borderline disrespectful, and getting that point across without actually raising your voice.
You know when you can do that? When you old, when you grown. when you ain't got time to mess around with these kids, even though LeBron ain't no kid. Did he use the B word? Is that what happened? Because LeBron, I saw LeBron on the mic saying, "Don't use that word so loosely," or "Don't use that so loosely."
He depends on what B word you're talking about. The 3-letter. Well, I think he said boy.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he
So
said
LeBron?
bitch. Yeah, I think he said boy.
All right.
I think he said, "What you gonna do about it, boy?" Now,
why would
because
that
it comes
out?
from Ime Udoka and not Rick Carlisle, it doesn't hit as hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hate to say it like that. It just doesn't hit the same. But when the official is standing there in between and he's literally like that referee that's watching all the hits going back and forth like this with his neck, like the official's literally like, oh, and once again, the official's a white guy. What am I supposed to do when I hear possibly Ime Udoka call LeBron James a boy?
Yeah.
I think I got to give him a technical.
I thought the technical for sure, but the ejection, I was like, oh, we must have.
But I think he had one already.
Oh, okay.
I think he had one already because it was a double tech, and I think he already had one.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's where I don't know. Like I said, I think when you get older, and like you're a parent, so like there's a tone of voice that you can use without yelling, that you can sort of just get your point across. It's almost like your mom when she talks to you through her teeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boy, if you don't sit your behind
it
down.
Actually has more impact. It actually has more impact. Like because I've been a yeller. I ain't gonna lie, like, and I've tried to get better at it with my kids because I don't want that to be what they associate me with. But it has more impact when you just say, look, son, I've told you this. We've discussed this ad nauseum. Okay? What you're not going to do is you're not going to talk to my wife like you're crazy.
Ooh.
That's my wife, and that's your mother. Okay? I raised you better than that. You got to go like, you just got to like look them in the eye and just be like, hey, I'm talking to you. You want to be a man? I'm treating you like a man. And I wouldn't let no man talk to my wife out of pocket in the street. So I ain't gonna let you do it. You know, it's like he's kind of like real relaxed about it, you know. But yeah, no, it's like you get older. It hurt to yell. You talk about it hurt. Everything hurt. I gotta save my energy. I'm spending time yelling at you. Now I'm going to bed for 9 o'clock instead of 9:30. You know, bro, you're going to bed by 9:30. That's another part. What time you be going to bed? It's about getting old. What time you be going to bed? That's when you really know. It's the window is closed. My window is closed.
No, but you talk to somebody that don't sleep. So that's the difference. I'm not a good sleeper. I've never been a good sleeper. So it's never like the time I got the most sleep was when I had my battle with COVID.
Yeah.
And I went for weeks, you know, and I can trip on it now, but you know, I literally went a week where I got a total of 6 hours of sleep. Where I could not get rest at all. Like I was literally battling like delirium. I'd have much rather had not having the taste or the smell than the nonsense I was dealing with. So after, you know, you test negative and you go through all those different things, and my recovery, man, I had the COVID fought for a minute. But for like a week straight, I went to bed at 9:30 every day, which is something that has never happened in my adult life. And I was literally thinking to myself, yeah, it took my old editor, Marcus, to tell me. He was like, dude, you were battling a virus in your body for 3 weeks. It's going to take time to recover. Like you're going to be tired. You're going to be fatigued. You know what I mean? It's going to take time. So that's, you know, so as far as old, I ain't hit I'm going to sleep early. Like my dad is like the king of going to sleep early. I ain't sleep. I'm just resting my eyes. No, fool, you sleep.
I used to be up. And you want to talk about like it come fast? We talked about this. Like, you know, for players, it's like 1 minute you seasoned, you're a veteran, and the next minute you're just old. Players, teams. It's like that in life. Like I was probably up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning watching TV, you know, watching League Pass, reading, working, maybe playing some PlayStation. Who knows? I was probably doing
Madden franchise
mode, maybe. You know, here and there. You know, nothing too crazy. I was probably doing that till I was like, 40, 41, maybe even 42. I could stay up late.
Mike,
Dude,
that's like
now,
2 years ago. That ain't that
that's what I'm
long
telling
ago.
you. That's what I'm telling you. Bro, now my oldest daughter, if she ain't in the house by 10, I'm calling her. I'm like, yo, I need you to come home because I need to go to sleep. All the shit your parents used to say is real. It's like, I'm too tired to stay up and wait for you to come home. And I can't sleep if you're not in the house. It is so real how full circle it comes. And so, because I'm in, me and my wife, we both be in the bed. We say it to each other every night. Yo, we old. Like, bro, don't ask us to hang out. Somebody talking about hanging out, we're like, oh man, what time? Like we 8:00. Whew, that mean we go. We sitting there till 10. Then we ain't get home till 11. Then it's gonna take an effect the next day. Now I am very much then in the load maintenance stage of my life. 100%.
I feel you. It's funny. Here's a quick question because I'm gonna tell you this quick story because we got to go.
Yeah.
But will you appear on the Love Doctor episode? Because you're a married man and you've made man. Will you appear on the Love Doctor episode of The Good Word? And I think we're gonna do it in February around Valentine's Day. Like we've gotten a star-studded group.
Now that I don't need them, I have all the answers.
We've got a star-studded group. Like your former partner Jamel, she has volunteered to come on. Our friend of the show, Monica McNutt. She wants in, some buddies, David Dennis from ESPN, Jason Goff from NBC. People, even Jamel texted me yesterday. We were having a fictional discussion about a movie and who's the villain in the movie. And she says, this sounds like a topic for the Love Doctor. And I said, that's an excellent point. We're not going to talk about $300 dates. We are going to actually talk about who's the villain and the best man.
So all the stuff that gets
she
Twitter
has a theory.
pissed off.
I have a theory.
And the best man or the best man holiday? Or the best man final chapters?
The best man.
Just general, the franchise. Who's the villain of the franchise?
The first movie first, because the first one is the iconic one. The third, look, if you in the movie and I'm not, that one ain't iconic. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm jealous that you were in it and I wasn't.
That's cool.
I'm jealous as hell. But she has her. Everybody has their theory of who the villain in that one was.
See, I think I reject the premise. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Why does somebody have to be a villain? I reject the premise.
Oh no, it's definitely, and the first one's definitely a villain.
Okay, all right.
First one's definitely a villain.
Oh, the first film, yes. The first film is definitely a villain. I mean, first
film is definitely a villain.
You want to get into that now or later?
No, we don't get into that. We're gonna get into that on the Love Doctor episode. Okay, and secondly, I have a friend, and she's one of my close friends.
I know how. By the way, I know what your answer is, and just know that I agree. We don't even have to discuss it. Was understood need not be spoken. I know what your answer is about the
understood needs not to be said. And I'm going to make John Gennaro. I'm going to make John watch The Best Man if he hasn't already. I'm going to make him watch it so he can be fully versed on all things before we get to it. But to finish, and this podcast is going in a million different directions. But about staying up late, I have a friend. When I lived in Chicago before I got to New York, I came home for a weekend, and me and her just hung out, went to have drinks. And she was like, I'm going home and going to bed. She's like, I'm going home to watch a Living Single marathon. I said, no, come hang with me and my friends. Like she had met them before, but we were going out to eat. And she was like, I'm going home. So she stays, she relents and she stays and she fusses the whole time. It's just her and a bunch of dudes. 5 years later, her and a man that she met that night, which happens to be my best friend, 5 years of bliss. So sometimes staying up late beyond your 9:30 deadline, not for you because you married, but sometimes staying out late, sometimes it does help.
Sometimes good things do happen after midnight. Yeah,
absolutely. And you want to know why? Because the Love Doctor makes it happen, baby. Love Doctor makes it happen. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's a good tease.
Damn straight. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Michael Smith. Mike, appreciate you, man. Sincerely.
Happy birthday,
thank you.
Brother. This is my pleasure.
I really appreciate you. For those who don't know, of course, like I said in the beginning, Michael Smith, executive producer and host of Brother from Another, a show that he's brought me on numerous times against his better judgment. He's also part of the Amazon of NFL pregame show, delivering the news, also on Sunday Night Football on NBC, with his features and interviews and also Inflection Point Entertainment and all these different things that Michael Smith
trying
is
to put
doing.
kids through college, man. That's it.
And he wondered why he tired all the time. And I just named 4 jobs that he got. And he's trying to figure out why he going to bed at 9:30 every night. But thanks you all for listening. I really appreciate you guys indulging me on my birthday. Thanks to producer John for dealing with all the hijinks today and us basically throwing the complete rundown out. But hopefully John had some fun and hopefully you guys all did too. Dan Devine will be back for another episode of Divine Intervention tomorrow. I will be back on Wednesday for another episode of The Good Word. Maybe I will be in Las Vegas. Maybe I will still be here, but I will be flying to Las Vegas on Wednesday. You guys, we'll figure all of that out. Appreciate y'all. Thanks so much again. And until next time, everybody be safe.